Hey everyone, it's Ahara Stars again with Illum Astrology, doing another transit video about Saturn's transit through the 4th house, or also Saturn's transit into Aquarius for Scorpio risings and Scorpio suns, because the 4th house occupies your guys's, Aquarius occupies your guys's 4th house in whole sign astrology, but it does depend upon what degree your rising sign or your sun sign is at in order to depict exactly when Saturn will be moving into Aquarius or into your 4th house. So this video is for everybody who is experiencing Saturn's transit through the 4th house, and also more in the coming months when Saturn enters Aquarius in March of 2020. It will hit Aquarius in the 4th house for Scorpios and Scorpio risings. So let's just get into Saturn, okay? Saturn is one of the planets that a lot of people fear. And it's because he's, I guess the best analogy I come up with for him is he's the stern, strict father. Okay, he does rule the 10th house in astrology, which is the house of the father. Also the public, the way the public sees you, your career, your place in the world, the legacy you leave behind. Saturn is about solid structures and foundations. He's the god of karma. He's the god of cause and effect, karma, but also justice. So whenever Saturn transits a house, it's a time to get very serious, okay? Because Saturn also rules over older people. He's the father of time. And it's with his lens that we put on, okay? When a planet transits a particular house, it's like we change our glasses into the planetary influence of that planet, okay? And Saturn is very serious. He's very stern. He doesn't listen to any excuses, okay? It's all about you doing the hard work, and that's it. There's no handouts. There's no help. There's nothing. It's just you doing it, okay? So Saturn wants to build you, wants to make you strong, wants to make all of us strong. That's the whole purpose of him being so tough with us. In other words, you know, if you want a hero, look in the mirror, there goes your hero, right? It's like, well, you want somebody to save you, then save yourself, is Saturn's philosophy, okay? So in astrology, he's not the planet that hands out benefits like Venus and Jupiter, where we just get transits with them and it's like, here you go, here you go, here you go, and you feel really good and you feel like luck is on your side because Jupiter's a planet of luck. Saturn is about hard work, and what he does is he strips away the layers of illusion. He gives you a new pair of glasses to look at things with. I call the ugly lens. I call it that because Saturn strips away illusions, okay? So no matter how pretty a room is, you know, that you decorated and made it, it's going to get toned down with Saturn's new lens. And the way that works is that as we look through a more dulled down lens, we become much more picky. We become unsatisfied with what it is we currently have, and we want to improve it, okay? Like whenever he's transiting a house, he shows you the flaws. And you look at, and even if he's aspecting your Venus and you're in a relationship with your partner, and Saturn comes to make a difficult aspect to your Venus, you'll see all the flaws in your partner. They're like amplified. And that's why it's considered a breakup transit, because all of a sudden the person that you've been with and you thought was so wonderful and great, all you're seeing are their flaws. And that's what Saturn does to a house, because he's about perfectionism, refinement. He's about, you know, he's in a lot of, I could go on and on about Saturn because there's so many areas in life that he covers. But it's about convention, about tradition, about government, about law, about order, about doing the right thing, karma, you know, about cause and effect. What you put out, you get back. That's Saturn. And about being in the present time, and seeing things for what they really are, not what you think they are, not what you're convinced yourself to believe they are, because we are being influenced by the planets on a subconscious level. So anytime Saturn transits a house, you're going to see it through the ugly lens, okay? So wherever you are, and so let's get into the 4th house, sorry. The 4th house is the house of home, security, okay? It's ruled by the moon. It's the mother, the house of the mother. The 10th is the father, Saturn, and the moon is the mother, the 4th house. So it has to do with everything that brings you nurture, security, and comfort, okay? The home, your pillows, your blankets, your mom, you know, women in your life, but really early childhood and your comforts, okay? But it is the physical home as well. So when Saturn comes to transit the 4th house of home, you'll see all the flaws in your current environment in your home, okay? If it's not built on a solid foundation, meaning you have issues within the home that need to be fixed, but you've been putting them off, those can come up because it's kind of like Murphy's Law. If it could break, it's likely to break. So if you notice anything within your home environment of where you're currently living, that you've been, you know, waiting or putting off, you're going to have to deal with those when Saturn hits your 4th house of home. Saturn wants solid structures. It literally, the structure of your house is ruled by Saturn. Our skeletal system is ruled by Saturn. You know, so if you think about it, where he wants you to be solid, he wants you to work hard, he's going to show you the flaws and the weaknesses, so that way you can put in the effort to fix them. And it is going to be work. So in another way, he makes you grow up and look through a more mature lens. So if you're at home living with your parents, let's say you're in high school and you just graduated high school, and Saturn's moving into your 4th house of home, your parents can suddenly become Saturn, the stern, strict father. When are you going to move out? You got a job. Aren't you going to get your own place? And all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, I'm not even ready. You know, or whatever the situation is, he's going to cause you to take action, to get a job, to find a way to move out, even if he has to bark in your ear the entire time. That's what's going to happen, because it's going to push you. That's kind of the influence. I'm just using it as like a planetary influence. It's kind of like pushing you to go, to do, and often unexpectedly, without the resources, if you're not prepared. So you got to be prepared for Saturn transits. This is why we use astrology to predict, to go, oh, okay, in 2020, I'm going to have Saturn transit in my 4th house. I need to start planning for, you know, saving some money to fix these issues, or, you know, maybe I'm going to move out. I'm going to start saving my money to move out because I know that my parents are going to kick me out. Those are just little examples, because it's about growing up, maturing, seeing the issues, problems being brought about in the home environment, the physical home environment. On another level, it can affect your relationship with your mother. If you don't have a very close-knit, tight relationship with your mother, and you guys have issues, those will likely become more, they'll be brought to the surface and become a little bit more unbearable. That's what happens. It's like Saturn shows you the weakest links, excuse me, and kind of enhances them. So if there's been something about your relationship with your mother that's been getting on your nerves, it's likely to get more on your nerves during Saturn's transit, so that way you guys can finally deal with the situation, fix it, and make it better. This also goes with family members, okay, and also any issues with early childhood. You can go back, you know, reminiscing down memory lane, kind of, because Saturn wants you to be as strong as possible. He wants you to have a solid foundation structurally in the home, in the family, and psychologically, you know, to be able to deal with the things that you maybe have felt you were struggling with, or maybe you haven't been able to get over, or issues that need to be addressed within the home and within the family. And those include early childhood situations. If you've been estranged from your mother, or you haven't had you know, maybe you haven't talked to somebody in your family for a while, Saturn can bring those people back into your life, so that way you can have an opportunity to fix and heal those relationships as well. Those could be long lost family members. It could be a time where you become curious about finding your natural mother if you were adopted. There's just a lot of different things that occur about trying to bring in and trying to fix your foundation, to get healing to broken home situations, to difficulties in early childhood. Even with childhood friends, you can suddenly come in contact with them and heal those. It all depends on the situation. If it was something that you've done and it's your karma, they come back into your life and they demand from you, they want apologies, you know, I don't know what's going on. It's just Saturn's a planet of karma, but firm, solid structures, and building solid structures, regardless if it's physically in your home, if it's within your relationships within your family, within relationships of early childhood, with your children. The children typically ruled by the 5th house, so I wouldn't say so much so there. It is the mother and the home and the place of location, but at the same time, it's also going to be opposing the 10th house, okay? Because the 4th house is south of the 10th house, and the 10th house is about your career and about your father and about your public appearance. So any issues there with the father could come up as well. If you don't have issues with your father and you don't have issues with your mother and you guys are close-knit and there's nothing that needs to be worked out, then you don't have to worry about it, okay? But there can be tests and trials within the area of family and home, because Saturn wants to test its structure. Are you really there for the people that you love? Are the people that you love really there for you? You know, and those different tests and trials and tribulations can come in a multitude of different ways. It all depends. But really, it's about approaching these matters in a grown-up, mature way and seeing things for what they really are. If you played a role into any relationship issues within the family, you'll start to reflect on those, because Saturn turns a lens in on you and says, look, you know, at what the reality is. I told you he peels the veil away, so you can kind of analyze yourself and say, did I play a role in this? If not, you know, then the other person may want to make up with you. You may want to make up with them. Whatever happens, it's for the betterment, so that way you can become a kind of like newborn, you know, like born again, fixing a lot of issues, healing issues with your mother or your father, or your family. And if none of those exist, then you're probably going to move into a bigger or more austere home. Could be bigger, could be more austere. You might want to clean out the home, clean out the clutter. You don't want like chaos or disorganization with Saturn. Saturn's very particular, perfection, refinement. So you might be spending time upgrading, fixing, adding on to the home, depending upon if you own a home. If you're just living in an apartment, you might move to a new place. All these different types of things are going to be occurring. So it will be about building solid foundations. Now, while it's opposing the 10th house of the career area, if you're not happy in your career, or if you're not in the right place, as far as where you want to be in your life, because this is the 10th house of where you want to be in your life, the legacy you leave behind, fame, recognition, your public appearance, your career, then Saturn can present challenges there as well. So the home and the career area will be affected, because it's going to be transiting the 4th house, opposing the 10th. Now, it also can be affecting the ascendant and the 7th house of relationships. A lot can kind of get tested, meaning your partnerships can get tested. You could try to refine and perfect yourself, because the 4th house is also you and how you know, it's your soul, it's who you are. So you can try to work out, better yourself, get in better shape, health. At work, you could come across challenges with your boss, supervising, micromanaging you, or expecting a lot from you at work. Whatever the situation is, it's to test whether or not you're in the right place at work, and also to kind of refine your skills and perfect you, is a possibility. It's not always the case, but you can find that trials and tribulations occur in the workplace and in the home place. And temporarily, while it's conjunct your 4th house, your ascendant and your descendant, your relationship house and your self. So these are going to be areas that you're going to refine, perfect, and grow up and mature about, okay? And including relationship with your father, you can build a solid, closer relationship with them. If you're estranged from your father, you can get in contact with them. You can suddenly want to get in contact with them or look them up. Or maybe, you know, you don't want to. Whatever it's going to be, I'm not saying you have to. It's nothing like that. It's just, it depends on your own personal situation. Some things are better off left alone. Some things need to be fixed. And it depends on your own personal situation as far as what's going to come up that needs to be done. So I think that about covers it for Saturn's transit through the 4th house. You can look at your career and your home environment being going through restructure and building solid foundations and relationships with family members, the mother, the father, the home environment, improving the environment, finding your place in the world as far as your career and the right place for you. all are going to become a focus. So, but I got to tell you, you know, Saturn's transits really do produce the greatest results, because it's not something that's given to us, it's something that we worked for. And the confidence that's built through that is like no other. You know, you just say, wow, even when things are being thrown at you and you're like, oh, my boss is being difficult, I gotta do the stuff at home, I gotta move, I got all these things. And then after you do it, all of a sudden you're in a new place, a better job, a better place to live, you know, or, you know, things have been difficult with my mother, and then all of a sudden you guys address the situations and you have a closer relationship than ever before, or whatever the situation is. But that's the gift that Saturn leaves, because he forces us to face the things that we maybe been putting off, that need to be done, that are for our betterment, and to grow up and to mature and take responsibility for ourselves, and to raise our standards as far as the things that we want and have in our life. And it's just, his transits are just super, super productive. They can be stressful at times. I'm not going to lie to you. Can be. Not always, okay? But you see the progress. You see the changes. And they're always positive at the end of the day. So I'm sending you guys positive energy for all the best. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you found this helpful. I'm going to be doing other Saturn transits through the houses as well. So do check in for those. All right, you guys. Thanks again. Until next time.